For Creamer Media's Polity, I am Shannon de Rehove. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Raymond.
Thank you.
Now, you've placed a lot of emphasis on universality, but it appears that the public places more emphasis on identity. How do you reconcile this?
Yeah, I'm not wanting to set universality against specific qualities of people, identities, cultures, and so forth. When I stress universality, it's in the context of a situation where in recent times we have seen some sections of the inhabitants of South Africa, foreign migrants in particular, not really being protected by the law of the country. So universality is part of a conception of freedom. I believe that freedom is indivisible. It applies to all human beings. And if you look at all human rights documents, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the emphasis is that these rights are applicable and accessible to all human beings. Now, some people say that particular religions have to be taken into account and that universality can't compromise certain religious values. Now, that is true. However, if under the guise of religion you wish to practice something that is contrary to rights which we are entitled to, that can't be allowed. There was a conference, I think, in Vienna about 20 years ago where they said universal means universal, and in that case it was Islamic states. They can't claim that the universal rights are inapplicable to them. The same goes for cultural rights. For example, if under the guise of culture you want to practice female genital mutilation or foot binding in China, it's no more, as far as I know, or Ugutwala, I would say, is also contrary to universality. But at the same time, universality, which is also meant to assist in unity of a people, it doesn't mean that everyone must be the same. There is a relationship between sameness, that we all are South Africans, or we are all entitled to the same rights, and difference. Because you have to recognize difference. You have to recognize that people see themselves in a particular way, they are seen in a particular way by others, and there's a sort of negotiation of identity. And universality ought not to be a way of trying to prevent people from placing value on distinct qualities that they have as a group, respect for their language, their religion, their cultures, etc. But again, these notions of different identities are not static. That is why when people have recourse to custom and they say, like you have King Goodwill Zwelithini saying you have got these people that only know custom from books. This has been from time immemorial. Now, the type of notion of custom and culture that I would be saying needs to be advanced and recognized is living custom. Cultures as being in flux. And people who want certainty, want rigidity, they are usually very conservative people, or I would say even reactionary. They are threatened by change. They're threatened by, in their minds they're threatened because they want things to be solid like a rock. But life isn't like that. and we actually have to recognize the changes in the lives of South Africans.
Now, is there not a danger that in recognizing distinct rights of different groupings, that we can pave the way that claims for privileges?
Yes, I think that when the apartheid regime claimed what they called group rights, the ANC's response was to say, no, we're against group rights. And there was something that I disagreed with in that formulation, because there's a difference between rights of groups and privileges of groups. And insofar as minorities have a right to respect under all human rights covenants and declarations, rights of minorities are legitimate. They're not illegitimate. It's privileges. Like if you want to have a separate representation, let's say, for coloureds, Indians, and all of this, that undermines the possibility of building unity between all the peoples of South Africa. And one of the reasons for having separate representation is often to build in a veto right and to try and frustrate the democratic will. So when you have, as the Freedom Charter does have, that the rights of all national groups will be respected, or they will be treated as equal. The word national groups, there's a problem with that those words, but I mean, what they're referring to there, in my view, are Africans, coloureds, and Indians. But there are more groups than that that deserve respect and equal treatment. And even if you look at the way some words are used, now, Xhosa people only refers to the Faleka, Khakhabe, and one other. The Amampondo are not really Xhosa. They're Xhosa speaking, or a variant of it. The Tembu are not Xhosa. They are separate people. And there's a laziness about the way in which people relate to even a word like that. So what I'm saying is all these groups practice particular customs which will change and vary. They're not practiced in the same way everywhere, but they're entitled to respect. If they are advanced in a chauvinist way, as in the contempt that some people express, say, for Shangaan people sometimes, like you've had arrests of Shangaan people in the xenophobic attacks. And it's important that all people must be respected in South Africa, including people who are foreign people. They're entitled to the protection of the laws of this country. And so we must draw this distinction between using the claim of culture for abuse or for chauvinism, but there's also a legitimate right to respect of your culture and your identity.
Thank you so much for your insight. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about universality and difference.